The Public Speaking Project presents Informative Speaking by Lisa Schreiber, Ph.D., Voice Talent by Jill Sabarbaro, with Morgan Hartrampt as the Media Production Specialist. A supervisor gives a step-by-step training session on the new phone system at work. A firefighter teaches a group of elementary school students what they should do in case of a fire. A brother and sister listen as their mother explains how to rid the garden of pests naturally. A motorcycle safety instructor explains how to drive in poor weather conditions. A group of college friends receive directions on how to get into their zipline harnesses. Can you identify what all of these scenarios have in common? If you guessed that these are all examples of informative speaking, you were correct. You already present new information to a wide range of people every day. Informative speaking takes this informal process and improves on it because the speaker is presenting information in a more systematic way that helps an audience understand and remember it. In informative speeches, your primary purpose is to give your audience information that they did not already know, or to teach them more about a topic with which they are already familiar. Your ability to give informative speeches is one of the most important skills you will ever master, and it will be used both during the course of your career and in your personal life. If you cannot clearly explain the results of your sales campaign to your colleagues at work, they will think you are incompetent. New members of the Rotary Club will expect you to be able to explain rules and procedures if you are a senior member of the club. Your family will depend upon you to explain what you want them to do and where you want them to be on your wedding day. Clearly, it is important to learn how to inform others if we are to function effectively in this world. In this module, we will only have time to give a brief overview of informative speeches. To read more about informative speeches, you can check out our free online textbook, Public Speaking, the Virtual Text, which can be found at www.publicspeakingproject.org. The purpose of this module is to provide new speakers with an introduction to informative speaking. To begin with, we describe the primary functions of informative speeches. Then we will look at the different styles of informative speeches. The first purpose of an informative speech is to provide an audience with knowledge by presenting new information or a new perspective on old information. For example, a child in a science class learns what environmental factors cause the aurora borealis, or northern light. At a department meeting, a group of social workers is briefed on how the new city bus routes will have an impact on their clients' ability to get to work. In a financial advising seminar, a tax expert explains the impact of new tax laws on middle-class families. Knowledge helps us to understand the world around us, enables us to make connections, and helps us to predict the future. Second, informative presentations serve to shape our perceptions. These presentations can affect how people see a subject by bringing it to light, or may influence what is seen as important by virtue of directing attention to the subject. For instance, many Western women feel it is wrong that Islamic women have to cover themselves with burqas or chadors. However, some Islamic women report that wearing this type of clothing makes them feel more feminine or closer to God. Or a speaker could reveal the negative economic impact of popular shoe companies that donate shoes to the poor in other countries. Further, informative presentations may articulate alternatives so that listeners understand the number, variety, and quality of options available to them. For instance, a dietitian could compare and contrast two weight loss strategies in order to allow her clients to choose which one corresponds to their activity level and cooking skills. Or a volunteer at the Humane League could teach a family how to select a dog that would best suit their personality and lifestyle. Bear in mind that an informative speaker should remain neutral and objective in the presentation, so both sides of an issue are to be presented without bias. Finally, informative presentations enhance our ability to survive and evolve. Our existence and safety depend upon the successful communication of facts and knowledge. We learn how to drive a car in driver's education. We consult a realtor about the safest neighborhoods. We attend a trade school in order to get a job so we can support our families. And we seek advice from a funeral home director so that we can make arrangements in advance for our funeral and cremation. All of the knowledge we accumulate during our lifetime will be passed down to improve on the lives of those who come after us. Much of this information will be passed down in the form of a presentation. In addition to knowing the purpose of informative speeches, new speakers should also be aware of the different types of informative speeches. Definitional speeches are the first type of informative speech. In a definitional speech, the speaker attempts to explain the meaning of concepts, theories, philosophies, or issues that may be unfamiliar to the audience. In these types of speeches, speakers may begin by giving the historical derivation, classification, or synonyms of terms or the background of the subject. An example of this type of speech might focus on the common turn of the century diagnosis of female hysteria, and how the term originated from the ancient Greek belief that women had wandering wombs that caused a number of mental disorders. Later, these mental disorders were correctly diagnosed as schizophrenia and anxiety attacks. The next type of informative speech is a descriptive speech. The purpose of a descriptive speech is to provide a detailed, vivid word picture of a person, animal, place, or object. Osborne and Osborne maintain that audiences should carry away in their minds a clear vision of the subject. Many people don't know what it is like to live in an ashram, which is roughly the Hindu equivalent to a Christian monastery. So a speaker could describe a typical day of yoga, meditation, and spiritual instruction, along with a physical description of the ashram and the people who inhabit it. An explanatory speech, also known as briefing, is similar to the descriptive speech in that they both share the function of clarifying the topic, but explanatory speeches focus on reports of current and historical events, customs, transformations, inventions, policies, outcomes, and options. Whereas descriptive speeches attempt to paint a picture with words so that the audiences can vicariously experience it. Explanatory speeches focus on the how or why of a subject and its consequences. A speech explaining the rationale behind the new Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act and the impact it will have on U.S. citizens would be an example of this type of speech. And one of the most fun and interesting types of speeches is a demonstration speech. A demonstration speech shows listeners how some process is accomplished or how to perform it themselves. Consequently, a speaker could show an audience how dams are built or how to change the oil in a car. The focus is on a chronological explanation of some process, procedure, application, or course of action. Speeches about how to make traditional lasagna or how to apply effects to pictures with Photoshop would be demonstration speeches. Although these speeches tend to take a lot of time to prepare, they provide the greatest opportunity for audience members to get involved or apply the information later. So, let's review. When you give an informative speech, your primary goal is to teach your audience something that they don't already know. There are several reasons speakers give informative speeches. First, an informative speech is designed to provide an audience with valuable knowledge. Second, informative speeches can shape the perceptions of listeners. Third, informative speeches can show listeners their alternatives. And fourth, informative speeches can enhance humans' ability to survive and evolve. There are 4 different types of informative speeches. In a definitional speech, the speaker attempts to explain meanings that may be unfamiliar to the audience. The purpose of descriptive speeches is to provide a detailed, vivid word picture of a subject. Explanatory speeches focus on the how or why of a subject and its consequences. And a demonstration speech shows listeners how some process is accomplished or how to perform it themselves. Informative speeches can help listeners better understand the world around them and can help them make more informed decisions. Without question, learning how to give good informative speeches is a skill you will use throughout your personal and professional life. Thank you for visiting the Public Speaking Project's virtual classroom. To view other modules about speech writing, go to www.publicspeakingproject.org.